The sun had almost set, casting a golden glow over the quiet park. Mark sat on the same bench he had occupied every Friday evening for years. His clothes were worn, and his face, weathered with lines of hardship, reflected a life filled with regrets. In his trembling hands, he held an envelope, waiting nervously. Footsteps echoed on the pavement. A tall young man in a tailored suit approached him. His face was warm but serious, his eyes locked on Mark's. "Mr. Reynolds?" the young man asked, his voice steady yet laced with emotion. "I've been looking for you for years." Mark looked up, startled. "I don't understand. Who are you?" The young man smiled. "You might not remember me, but I've never forgotten you. You changed my life once, and now I'm here to return the favor." He handed Mark a small, gift-wrapped box. Mark opened it slowly, his eyes widening in disbelief as tears welled up. His fingers shook as he pulled out a set of keys and a folded note. Backstory: 10 years earlier, Mark had been a different man back then, working a steady job, just barely making ends meet. Life had been tough, but he always found time to sit in the park to clear his head. That's where he first met Jason, a skinny, sad-eyed boy sitting alone on the curb with torn sneakers and a growling stomach. Mark couldn't ignore the boy's quiet misery. He walked over, crouched down, and said, "Hey, kid, you okay?" Jason nodded but avoided eye contact. "Just hungry," he muttered. Mark's heart clenched. He didn't have much himself, but something about the boy made him reach into his pocket, pull out his last $5 bill, and walk him to the ice cream truck. "Pick whatever you want," Mark said with a smile. Jason's eyes lit up. He picked a chocolate cone with rainbow sprinkles and devoured it like it was the best thing he'd ever tasted. As they sat on the bench, Jason quietly admitted that his mother had recently passed away and that he was staying with an aunt who didn't seem to care much for him. "You're a tough kid," Mark said, ruffling Jason's hair. "Things will get better. Just keep your head up and don't give up." Jason beamed. "Thanks, mister. You're the nicest person I've met in a long time." The return, present day. Jason stood over Mark, his eyes misty as he recalled that day. "You gave me hope when I had none," Jason said. "After that day, I promised myself I'd work hard and help others the way you helped me. That ice cream was just a small gesture, but it changed everything. I became a lawyer, started my own firm, and spent years searching for you." Mark was speechless. "But why?" Jason smiled. "Because you believed in me when no one else did." He gestured to the box in Mark's lap. Mark unfolded the note. It read, "This house is yours now. You'll never have to worry about rent or living on the street again. Thank you for giving me my first taste of kindness." Mark looked up, his vision blurred by tears. "I don't deserve this." Jason put a hand on his shoulder. "Yes, you do. You gave me everything when you had nothing. Now it's my turn." For the first time in years, Mark felt the weight on his chest lift. His heart swelled with gratitude and disbelief. Resolution. Full circle. Jason stayed with him that evening, listening to Mark's stories, making plans for the future. What had started as a single act of kindness had grown into something neither of them could have imagined. Sometimes the smallest gestures could ripple through time, coming back when you least expect them, just when you need them the most. And as Mark sat in his new home that night, he realized he'd finally found something he thought he had lost forever: hope.